Welcome to Middle Fingers Up. This is It's Good to Gup Shup segment with your host, Kieran. Today it's just you and I wanted to talk about a thought I've been having in the last few months. I've been doing a lot of my own unpacking of anti-racism, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about what we are seeing and talking so much here on the podcast, but also on social media in your own circles. And it stems from us first generation. So these are the children of immigrants, and how we are unpacking a lot of the way we grew up in homes where our parents were in survival mode. And I've been thinking a little bit about how us first gens have also been, for the most part, living in our own version of survival mode. And I think there's a lot of you out there that can relate, because I've been getting a lot of interesting conversations through my DMs, as well as in person with those of us that are kind of in the same boat. And so I just want to unpack this a bit. So a lot of us first gens, so these first generations, these children of immigrants that we have this common thread in our stories. There's many of us who have dated outside of our communities. So some of us have even married outside. I married a white guy. I've been with my husband for 22 years. We just celebrated our 17th wedding anniversary. We have 2 biracial boys. So I'm one of those in this boat where we went outside of our community. I'm talking about those of us that have been with white people, because there are some people that have gone outside of your race, but you're still with marginalized community. And I think there's different things going on in there. And it's not in the same way that those of us that are of color have been in relationship with white people, because there's a power difference there. So I think this isn't just about love. I think we also entered these relationships with white people as our generational view of what was survival. So our parents had their survival strategy, the keep your head down, sacrifice, work hard, don't make noise, avoid getting bottles thrown at you, avoid racism, all of the things that our parents did to make it work for us here in this country. And for us first gens, survival meant assimilation. So you get as close as possible to white, and maybe you'd be accepted. So this civic sense survival, that's why we whitewashed our names on resumes. So if you're a Maninder, you're going to go by Mike. If you're Rajdeep, you're going to go by Raj. You're going to create a name that automatically connects to the North American way and shows that you're one of them. We've also changed our tones in meetings. We've laughed at racist jokes. We've accepted a lot of microaggressions. Your English is so good. You're the most beautiful brown person in the room. You're so cool. You're a cool brown girl. You're so different than those other people. And this is just me speaking as a brown person. You're Asian. You're Latin. You come from a different marginalized community. You've had your own versions of this as well. And I think the part that we don't always admit is even we put down our own community in front of white people. And that's what this whole civic sense thing that we were taught was. Don't be too brown. Don't be too loud. Don't make them uncomfortable. Oh, those immigrants, or oh, those brown people that live in that part of the city. Oh, those people. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. And this created closeness. This created connection with the white circles that we have belonged to. And if you're honest, a lot of us did it. We played along, we laughed, because that's how survival works, right? But then here's sort of the thing. Survival is not thriving. And I think a lot of us are starting to recognize and are waking up now. Now we're realizing, okay, our parents gave us a gift by coming here, and we have so much more privilege than maybe other people in our community. And while they had to do what they had to do, we have a responsibility to break cycles. We talk a lot here about going back and talking to your inner child, doing the work so that our children have a better future. And I think we have been saying, oh, we're not the survival generation, we're the thriving generation. But I also think what we're realizing is that some of these friendships, relationships, workplaces with the white community, they're not really about us. They never really were. We were only valuable as the white, quote unquote, brown person, right? We were that exotic but safe, not the real version of us. So the watered down version of us. And I think the question a lot of us are asking is, so how do we disrupt this? How do we start with ourselves? How do we maintain our marriages, our relationships with our white in-laws, our white bosses, our white partners, where we can disrupt and get uncomfortable and make changes, because a lot of these views are outdated, and we need to level up. I think we have to upload or download, how we want to put it, the newer version, the newer software of how we move forward. And I think there have been activists and hard workers through generations, but for our generations, a big wake up call, a big movement was during COVID with Black Lives Matter, with George Floyd. And I think a lot of our marginalized communities started to realize, oh, hang on a second. We have been operating in a way that's kind of following and allowing a lot of this white supremacy to continue, because those of us that assimilated, it helped us as well. So I think we have to stop putting down our own people in front of white people. Like, that's not humility, that's assimilation. And call assimilation for what it is: survival, not success. Reclaim the parts of ourselves that we've been tucking away. It's not cool to laugh at these jokes when we're sitting at a table with a bunch of white friends that we've known for years. And it's not okay to be accepted as, oh, it's okay because my best friend is brown and she always tells me how weird brown people are. We aren't helping ourselves. We're just giving white people permission to continue to believe the fucked up shit that they believe about us. So our names, our language, our culture has to be authentic, has to be genuine. We got to get better at being comfortable with it. I know for me, a start was going back to listening to Punjabi music, as well as going back and watching Bollywood movies, because I did grow up with that and I walked away from it. And I was hanging out with a brown girl not too long ago who's going through her own journey. And I noticed she's also started listening to Punjabi music again. And I was like, oh, maybe this is phase one. This is what happens for a lot of us. We start to dip our feet in and get comfortable again. I think we have to audit our circles. Who respects us as we are, and who only wanted the watered down version of us? It's clear when you wake up and you realize it. And I think a lot of the folks that I have stopped being around are really upset because I didn't give them an opportunity to talk about it. I didn't also want an opportunity because I knew, given how our history's been, it was going to end up bad. And so in my own words, in my own thoughts, I decided, I'm just going to let this be. And maybe that's the wrong way, because I am today learning a lot about what it means to build, but also maintain community. And today where I am, having had this space from a lot of these people, I think I have more of a backbone, more strength to be able to know how to speak up and know how to defend and help myself. I definitely don't feel like I would have been able to work through those moments, because when that white supremacy is so deeply stuck in you, you see it's so hard as a white person to recognize when it's showing up, but as the person of color, you can't not see it. And I think it gets difficult because then you're like, see, and there's only so many white people out there that are truly willing to be like, oh, maybe this departure of this relationship with my friend of color has something to do with me as well, where a lot of the times it's put on us because we're doing something so irrational. I think it's also important to know our history. I didn't know anything about our history. I just knew little bits and pieces here and there, and I still have a lot more to learn. But when we start to see how colonization and assimilation has shaped us, I think you stop carrying shame that doesn't belong to you. And the blame game that comes from a lot of white people saying, well, you used to always talk that way about you. You used to say it. That starts to go away because it's like, I did say that. You're right. I am someone who used to say those things. But here's the thing. I'm also someone that's doing a deep dive. I'm doing some work. I'm learning, and I'm realizing that that's not okay. And that's not a correct representation of my community. There are ways to go back and have those conversations without feeling like a piece of shit, which I have done for a long time. And that got in the way of me wanting to do some work as well. I think it becomes a barrier for those of us that are so deeply guilty because we're that guy at parties and dinners and events where we're just calling it out. And I think when white people can be so bold and say things to me like over the summer when I'm at the Stampede, someone I don't even know is telling me there's no racism. You're not experiencing that. Everyone's equal. You're deciding that our lived experiences don't matter. They didn't happen because you don't want to get uncomfortable. And I think if you have the ability to stand there and say that, then I certainly have the capacity to unlearn some of this survival mentality and show up for myself and my community, and more importantly for my kids, in a way that's going to not let you take my power away. And know when's the right time to have a conversation where we say, actually, we can't talk like that. I think as first gens, we are the generation that's supposed to thrive. We are meant to break cycles. We are meant to challenge some of the systems within our own culture, within our own community. But again, we can't really thrive if we're still betraying ourselves for someone else's comfort. So assimilation got us here. Disrupting assimilation is what's going to get us free. And that might mean having really tough conversations in our own homes with our white partners. And if we have the capacity to work through some of this, it's amazing what can come out of it. You can have a person of color and a white person in a relationship, but only if the white person can understand their power, their privilege, and not behave in a way where the impact only hits them when we're in the room with them. The impact has to follow when you leave the space and you're out in the community doing the white people thing. That's how you show up for marginalized communities. And I think we all have to recognize that today I'm talking about racism work, but there are a lot of marginalized community, the LGBTQ community. There are people that are battling gender issues. There's, issues with women and patriarchy, and like the list goes on and on. So I think when we start with the work, as my good friend Tony Neighbor said, with racism, the door starts to open about some other work that we all have cut out for us. So it's not that marginalized people, like people of color, don't have any work ourselves. I think it just means you start to get your voice back, and then you have the capacity to see and do things for the community in a way that maybe weren't possible before. So this was a 15-minute look at us, keeping it short, episode segment thoughts of It's Good to Gup Shup with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to carry these conversations on. And if there are other people out there who have been messaging, but maybe willing to come on and talk about how they're disrupting systemic issues in their relationship as a person of color with a white person. I think we really, really need to continue this conversation because there are a lot of us that dipped out of our community to go into survival mentality and realize years later, oh shit, we have a responsibility here as a couple that is of color and white. Okay, so thank you. As I say, these conversations are door openers. So if you have anything to add, please message. I'd love to hear your feedback. Thank you.